My name is Betty. 2 years ago, they blamed me for something I didn't do. A financial breach, 6 figures missing. The kind of story that makes you look guilty the second it's spoken. The truth didn't matter. By the time I saw the paperwork, the narrative was already sealed. I was the scapegoat. I lost everything in a week. My job, my credibility, and $200,000 in legal damage control. But I didn't fight back. Not then. I smiled. I signed what they gave me. I walked out the front door like I accepted it. And then I started writing everything down. Every deal that felt off, every executive who spoke too carefully, every client name that vanished after one meeting. I wasn't after revenge. I was after evidence. It took me 26 months, 3 new phones, 2 cities, and 1 identity reset. But now, I have what I need. This company, the one that buried me alive, built its empire on fraud. And tonight,
Day 1.
I'm going to
name,
show them what it
new
feels
role,
like to watch something
same
you
building,
built
though
collapse.
they don't know it yet. I walked through those glass doors with a steady breath, careful to erase every trace of the woman they threw out 2 years ago. Darker hair, subtle makeup, a measured smile that doesn't reveal too much. I told him I'd been transferred from a branch on the other side of the country, new to the city, eager to start fresh. No one asked where I'd been before. No one bothered to dig. They never did. Not for people like me. The floor feels different somehow. New security cameras in the corners, badge scanners that beep in unfamiliar tones. The espresso machine in the break room is new, the kind with fancy buttons and screens instead of levers. But the air smells the same. A mix of stale coffee, cheap cleaning supplies, and something darker. Greed, maybe? Or fear. I find my desk tucked in a quiet corner near the executive wing, far enough to observe, close enough to hear. I spend the first hours watching, listening, learning the rhythm of this place. Who talks loud enough to be heard down the hall? Who laughs too easily, trying to hide something? I catch snippets of conversations, offhand remarks about off-books accounts, shadow clients, cleaning the books. Words that make the hairs on the back of my neck rise. No one notices me taking notes, fingers tapping covertly on my phone. I snap photos of whiteboards, record voices when no one's looking, and make mental maps of who controls what. They see a quiet, polite woman in business casual, someone easy to overlook. That's exactly what I want. Because I'm not here to play their game anymore. I'm here to change the rules. Slowly, carefully, and they have no idea I'm already 2 steps ahead. By midday, I'm already settling in. I learn the security codes, the badge protocols, the meeting rhythms. Who arrives early, who stays late, who never leaves their office door open. The IT department is tucked away behind a locked door with a keypad. Not impenetrable, but enough to slow most people down. I watch a junior tech swipe his card and enter, then tail him at a discreet distance to see where the back entrances might be. Later, I find the supply closet, a perfect spot for a quick data dump or picking up forgotten keys. Small things, small details, but these small things build the foundation of everything. Around me, the office hums with quiet tension. Executives talk in low voices over lunch about deals no one outside this building is supposed to know about. I catch phrases, offshore accounts, paper trails, laundering. I smile to myself, but it's a tight, controlled smile. Because I know they don't suspect a thing. I make my way to the coffee machine. Not because I need caffeine, but because that's where people let their guard down. A few slip-ups, names mentioned too casually, phone screens glimpsed, Encrypted apps I recognize from my research. I take photos with my phone hidden in my palm, careful not to attract attention. When no one's watching, I access the shared network from my workstation. Nothing too risky yet, just probing, scanning for weak points. A patch security missed here, an outdated software there. This company thinks it's airtight, but all locks have keys. I file every piece away, connecting dots like a spider weaving her web. And when the day ends, I don't pack up my bag immediately. I linger in the lobby, watching the shadows stretch as people leave, memorizing faces, habits. This building holds secrets, and I'm going to uncover every one of them. The first days are more than just fitting in. It's about sensing the rhythm, the heartbeat of a place that's been hiding its true face for years. I watch the people around me, learning their habits, their weaknesses. Who arrives early? Who takes long lunches? Who avoids eye contact with certain executives? I notice the small things: a door left unlocked, a computer screen left unattended, hushed conversations that stop when I enter the room. Yesterday, in the cafeteria, I spotted a mid-level manager, one who seemed too comfortable, too sure of his position. I smiled, approached him casually, and struck up a conversation. At first, it was just small talk about the weather and the city, but as he relaxed, the real talk began. Budget approvals that didn't quite add up, clients who never appeared on official records, transfers between departments that were more about hiding than efficiency. I listened carefully, letting his words sink in and storing every detail. Later that day, I found the records room, tucked away like a secret itself. It was a cramped, dusty space filled with filing cabinets and old computers humming softly. Most people avoided it, as if the stale air carried more than just dust. I spent hours digging through files, pulling sheets and snapping photos when no one was watching. Nothing explosive yet, but enough to confirm what I already suspected. Patterns of manipulation hiding beneath layers of paperwork. Invoices that didn't match deliveries, expense reports padded beyond reason, transfers to unknown vendors. Back at my desk, I cross-referenced what I found against data stored on my encrypted drive. Every mismatch, every anomaly brought me closer to the truth. Someone inside this company was cooking the books, and it wasn't me. But suspicion isn't proof. I need solid evidence. That night, in a quiet cafe not far from the office, I spread out my notes and photos under the dim light. For 2 years, I planned this moment, and now the pieces are finally moving. The stakes are higher than ever. The deeper I dig, the more I realize how dangerous this all is. But I'm ready, because this time, I'm not fighting for myself. I'm fighting for the truth. As days slip into nights, I find myself slipping further beneath the surface. No longer just an observer, I become a player in a dangerous game, one where every move could change everything. Then out of nowhere, I find an unexpected ally. Mark, a junior analyst, quiet, nervous, with eyes that don't just see numbers, but read the lies behind them. He doesn't trust the executives any more than I do. We meet in the least obvious place, the stairwell between floors, away from cameras and office chatter. At first, it's small things, a report here, an email there, but soon the documents grow darker, heavier with meaning. Internal memos outlining off-the-books transactions, spreadsheets with suspicious transfers, emails hinting at cover-ups. Mark's hands tremble slightly when he passes me the files, but his resolve is clear. He wants the truth out as much as I do. We become a silent team, exchanging information in whispers and coded messages.
Our meetings are brief, always cautious, because one mistake could ruin everything. Then comes the night I decide to take a risk. One could break the entire case wide open or bury me forever. The office has emptied out, most workers gone home, the hum of life replaced by the quiet drone of cleaning crews and security patrols. With Mark's help, I acquire a key card that grants me access to the IT server room, a vault of digital secrets. The door slides open with a soft beep. Inside, the servers pulse steadily, a sleeping beast guarding the company's darkest secrets. I plug in a small device, a data extractor, designed to pull files silently, invisibly. Every second stretches, each moment charged with the risk of discovery. Suddenly, footsteps echo nearby. My heart thunders in my chest. A janitor rounds the corner, flashlight in hand, eyes briefly scanning the room. I freeze, barely breathing. He nods at me, indifferent, and moves on. The device hums softly as it copies files, hundreds, maybe thousands of documents streaming onto the drive. I skim the file names, offshore accounts, shell companies, fake vendor invoices, shredded paper trails. It's worse than I imagined. When the transfer finishes, I disconnect, slide out, and close the door behind me as quietly as I came. For a moment, standing in the empty hallway, I allow myself to breathe. I'm lighter now, carrying the truth with me, but also more exposed. The game has changed. No longer just gathering evidence in the shadows. Now it's about surviving long enough to use it. Because they will come for me. And when they do, I need to be ready. The stolen files lie encrypted on my drive, but they are far from just data. They are the key to dismantling everything. I spend hours, sometimes entire nights, poring over each document, each email, each spreadsheet. A network of lies unfolds before me. Offshore accounts used to siphon money, fake vendors invoicing for services never rendered, budgets padded beyond recognition. The scope of the corruption is staggering, but so is my determination. I begin compiling a dossier, a carefully organized, undeniable collection of proof that will expose the company's darkest secrets and the people who orchestrated them. But with every move I make, I sense eyes on me. Casual glances from coworkers grow colder, more calculating. Conversations halt when I enter the room. Hushed tones resume only after I'm gone. My emails begin to disappear, blocked or ignored by certain departments. The walls close in. One night, just as I'm about to call it a day, my phone buzzes with an anonymous message. 4 words that carry a clear threat. Stop digging, Betty. Instead of fear, I feel a fierce surge of resolve. This only confirms I'm on the right track. They're scared. I decide to fight smarter. I carefully plant false data within my files, breadcrumbs designed to bait whoever's spying on me. Days pass, tense and silent. Every shadow seemed to hold a watcher. Then, finally, I catch my traitor. Someone I once trusted. Someone close within the company's ranks. Their betrayal is a harsh blow, but also a weapon I now wield. The stakes have never been higher. I know now it's not just about gathering evidence or exposing corruption. It's about survival. Every step must be calculated, every move precise. Because if I slip, they will crush me and bury the truth forever. But I won't let that happen. This is my fight, and I'm ready to win it. Catching the leak was a turning point, the moment when everything shifted from guesswork to reality. I arranged to meet Mark in the most discreet place I can think of, the back stairwell, far from security cameras and office chatter. His face is pale,
eyes darting nervously, as if weighing 1,000 thoughts all at once. When I speak, my voice is steady. No accusations, no anger. I offer him a way out, to join me, to help bring the truth to light, or to stay silent and become collateral damage in the storm that's coming. The weight of that choice hangs heavy between us. After a long silence, he nods. We're no longer alone. Now it's a partnership forged in necessity and mutual desperation. Together, we start planning the next moves. I reach out to a trusted former colleague who now works as an investigative journalist, someone with the guts and the connections to make the story explode. We craft the dossier into a narrative, undeniable, explosive, impossible to ignore. But as we move closer to exposing the truth, the danger escalates. The anonymous messages start again, but this time with a colder edge. Threats wrapped in honeyed words, clear warnings beneath polite tones. One night, I return home to find my apartment ransacked, nothing taken, but a message left behind, chilling in its simplicity. We're watching. Fear is there, yes, but so is fury. This is no longer a game of shadows. It's a battle. Every move I make could change everything, or end it all. But I'm ready, because this isn't just about revenge anymore. It's about justice, the kind that demands a price, and I intend to pay it. The night I returned to find my apartment ransacked, a cold shiver ran down my spine. Not from fear, but from the clarity it brought. Staying put was no longer an option. I packed quickly, methodically. Laptop, encrypted drives, a notebook filled with scrawled notes, and only the bare essentials. The familiar walls that once felt like a sanctuary now felt like a trap. Stepping out into the city's restless pulse, I became a ghost among the crowds, unseen, unknown, untouchable. I found refuge in a small rental apartment on the city's outskirts, a place stripped of comfort, but heavy with the promise of safety. Inside, I laid everything out. Stacks of documents, printed emails, spreadsheets glowing faintly from my laptop screen. For 2 years, I had been collecting fragments of a hidden truth. Now they demanded to be seen as a whole. Days blurred into nights as I traced money moving through an intricate maze of shell companies, offshore accounts, and falsified records. The names at the top began to surface, executives who smiled in boardrooms but hid shadows in their pockets. I worked relentlessly, cross-referencing every detail with public records, legal filings, and whispers from the few insiders I dared to trust. These insiders had been quietly observing the company's rot, but had never dared to speak out. With careful conversations in dimly lit cafes and encrypted messages sent under the cover of night, they fed me information, names, dates, secret meetings. Each piece added weight to the dossier, turning it into a weapon sharp enough to pierce the corporate veil. But even miles from the heart of the company, I felt the invisible eyes watching me, a presence in every crowded street, every quiet park bench. Paranoia threatened to consume me, but I pushed it aside. Every shadow could be a threat, every stranger a watcher, but I refused to be silenced. I moved carefully, varying my routes, avoiding patterns. Late nights were spent in cafes, laptops glowing under the dim light, fingers dancing over keys as I decrypted files and pieced together the final puzzle. The city outside was indifferent. People passed by without a second glance, but I knew the danger was real and closing in. I was no longer just a woman seeking revenge. I had become a hunter, tracking the prey hidden behind polished facades and forged contracts. With every passing day, the noose tightened, and I prepared myself for the moment I would strike. Because this wasn't just about retribution anymore. It was about tearing down a corrupt empire from the inside, one undeniable truth at a time. And I was ready. Weeks slipped by, each day heavier than the last, as I wove together the tangled web of deceit hidden beneath the company's polished surface. Document after document, email after email, all pieces of a massive puzzle that screamed of betrayal and corruption. I uncovered contracts signed in the dead of night, transactions disguised as routine expenses but flowing into offshore accounts where the money disappeared into shadows. Fake audits, altered reports, and falsified data. Each discovery another thread pulling the fabric of lies apart. The enormity of what I was holding made my pulse quicken. This was no longer about the injustice done to me. It was about tearing down a system built on greed and deception, a system that had swallowed so many voices in silence. To survive, I adapted. My routines fractured like glass. I worked from cafes scattered across the city, their noisy, bustling atmospheres the perfect cover for clandestine research. I met informants in shadowed corners of parks, whispered secrets exchanged under the veil of darkness. Every message was encrypted, every file locked behind layers of security. Mark became my anchor in this storm, the insider who quietly fed me information no outsider could ever access. Together, we pieced together a plan to hand the dossier to a fearless journalist known for exposing corruption, someone who would bring our story into the light. But the closer we edged to the truth, the darker the shadows grew. One evening, as I walked back from a meeting with an informant, the city's familiar streets felt suddenly hostile. Across the street, a black car sat idling, windows tinted, engine rumbling softly, a predator lurking. My heart slammed against my ribs, but years of training kept me steady. I quickened my pace, slipping into a crowded market street alive with evening shoppers, blending seamlessly into the flow of people. Dodging through narrow alleys and side streets, I kept the car in my peripheral vision until it finally vanished into the night. Adrenaline surged, but fear was a luxury I couldn't afford. Back in my apartment, I triple-checked every lock, every window. My laptop's firewall and encryption software were updated to the latest versions. I changed passwords again and again. I scrutinized every noise, every shadow, knowing that one mistake could end it all. But I also knew that to back down now was to surrender everything. This wasn't just about me anymore. It was about justice, loud, clear, unstoppable. Each move I made had to be a step ahead of those who wanted me silenced. The closer I got to revealing the truth, the fiercer their resistance became. Threats masked behind polite calls, attempts to intimidate veiled in warnings. But I refused to be pushed into the shadows. The truth was my weapon, and I would wield it until it cut through every lie, every cover-up, until those responsible could no longer hide. Because justice wasn't just a word anymore. It was my mission. And I would see it through, no matter the cost. The dossier sat before me like a sleeping giant ready to roar. Every detail painstakingly verified, every thread woven into an unbreakable chain of truth. It was a mountain of evidence, years in the making, etched in emails, contracts, financial trails, and secret recordings. But as powerful as it was also fragile. One wrong move could shatter it, bury the story, and seal my silence forever. I knew this wasn't a simple upload, a quick leak to the internet. This was a surgical strike requiring precision and allies. That's why I reached out to Emma, the investigative journalist who had built a reputation for exposing corruption no one else dared touch. Our first contact was cautious, shrouded in whispers and code words. I wasn't sure I could trust anyone, but her credentials and quiet determination convinced me she was different. We arranged meetings in places where no one would look twice. A dimly lit cafe on the city outskirts, a secluded bench in the park at dusk, the back room of a bookstore where the scent of old paper masked our conversations. Each meeting was a delicate dance of words, veiled intentions, and careful planning. We talked strategy, how to release the story without compromising sources, how to protect the whistleblowers, and how to anticipate the inevitable backlash from powerful enemies. I shared pieces of the dossier in encrypted files, watching her eyes scan every word, every number, every name. Her resolve matched mine, and for the first time in 2 years, I felt a flicker of hope. But hope was tempered with caution. I knew the risks, the hidden eyes that tracked my every move, the silent threats that lurked in the shadows. So, I doubled down on security. I changed my phone numbers multiple times, each burner device discarded after a single use. Emails were sent only through encrypted channels using codes we devised together. I varied my routines, never using the same route twice, blending into crowds like a ghost. Late nights were spent triple-checking firewalls, scanning for spyware, and wiping digital footprints. Every step was measured, calculated, a chess game played against unseen opponents. And all the while, the dossier waited, a silent promise of justice and reckoning. I felt the weight of it in my bones, the knowledge that releasing it could change everything. It could topple executives, trigger investigations, and shatter the carefully built empire that had ruined my life. But it could also put me in the crosshairs of those desperate to keep their secrets buried. Yet, despite the fear, the exhaustion, the endless caution, I was ready. Because this wasn't just about me anymore. It was about righting a wrong, about standing up against a system built on lies. The reckoning was coming, and I would be the one to deliver it. The morning I finally pressed send felt surreal, like standing at the edge of a vast canyon, ready to leap without knowing what waited below. I had spent 2 years gathering every fragment of proof, every hidden contract, every whispered secret. Now, with trembling hands and a heart pounding like a drum, I uploaded the encrypted dossier to Emma's secure server, a digital fortress as guarded as my own will to survive. The screen glowed softly, illuminating the room's sparse furnishings, a cheap desk, a cracked window, and a worn chair where I sat, barely blinking, scarcely breathing. Seconds stretched endlessly, every tick of the clock amplified in the silence, echoing my anxiety. The upload bar crawled steadily, each percent a step closer to irreversible truth. When it finally hit 100, I exhaled, but relief was fleeting. A final encrypted message flew out, precise instructions to Emma about how to handle the release, protect sources, and anticipate the firestorm sure to come. Then, stillness. I sat in that quiet room, eyes fixed on the dim glow of the screen, waiting for something. A sign, a reaction, a shift in the world. The city outside was waking up, unaware that its quiet streets were about to erupt with revelations. Hours passed, and then, like thunder rolling over distant hills, the news broke. Headlines erupted across every platform, print, digital, television, exposing the company's intricate web of corruption. Executives who once smiled with impunity were named and shamed. Shell companies hidden offshore were suddenly exposed in blinding daylight. Investigations ignited in multiple cities, regulators began inquiries, and whispers of resignation swirled through the corporate halls. I sat back, watching the chaos unfold from my safe haven, a complex storm of emotions swirling within me. Relief that justice was underway, exhaustion from the years of waiting and fear, and a strange, fragile hope blossomed in my chest. But I knew the battle wasn't over. I had lit a fuse, and now I waited for the explosion. Would they come for me?
The company's reach was vast, its retaliation unpredictable. Legal battles were sure to follow, attempts to discredit me, threats to silence the truth. Still, I felt something I hadn't known in years: freedom. Not the freedom from fear, but the freedom to fight, to reclaim my story on my terms. My voice, once drowned out by lies and betrayal, was finally heard. And no matter what came next, I was ready. Because this was no longer just about me. It was about exposing a system, about shining a light in the darkest corners, about standing up when silence seemed safer. The reckoning was beginning, and I was the spark that lit the fire. 2 years ago, my life was shattered. Not by fate or chance, but by betrayal. The company I devoted myself to, the people I trusted, turned their backs on me. I was made a scapegoat, forced to bear the weight of a crime I didn't commit, burdened with a debt I never earned. At first, it felt like my world was collapsing. The walls closed in, and I was swallowed by a silence so heavy that it threatened to suffocate me. But in that silence, something inside me refused to break. I chose not to be a victim of their lies. I chose to fight. The path wasn't easy. It was filled with long nights, constant fear, and endless uncertainty. I had to learn to trust again, not blindly, but wisely. To move in shadows, to speak in code, to plan with patience and precision. Justice, I discovered, is not delivered like a swift sword. It is forged, slowly, painstakingly, in the quiet moments of persistence and resilience. It is shaped by those who refuse to surrender to fear, who push forward even when hope feels distant. I faced threats, silent and loud, attempts to silence me, to erase the truth. I faced isolation, the loneliness of carrying a burden that few could understand. But through it all, I held on to one thing: the truth. Because truth has a way of cutting through darkness, no matter how thick the lies may be. Today, that truth stands exposed. The company's secrets are unraveling before the world's eyes. Those who thought they were untouchable are finally being held accountable. And I have reclaimed what was taken from me: my voice, my power, my future. My name is Betty. This story is not just about revenge. It is about resilience, about standing up when the world tries to push you down, about the courage to seek justice even when the cost is high. Sometimes justice is messy. Sometimes it's twisted and complicated, but it is always worth the fight. No matter how dark the night, the dawn will come, and truth, like light, finds its way. This is my story, and it's only just beginning. Thanks for watching. You can see more exciting stories right here.